Does my hair look alright, guys? What makes us different than a lot of other groups is that it's a rebellion, French horn rebellion. So what that means is we're in this together, and it's not something that I can do by myself, or Zach or Jake, our live guys, like they can't do by themselves. We need the crowd, and it's together. So that's why it is that way.
What is your opinion of our great city that is the Six? What do you like about
Toronto?
Toronto.
You know, we have a really big history with Toronto. We've been here a couple times. We played a show with Matt and Kim at the Whippersnapper Gallery when it was still open in 2009. North by Northeast show. Yeah.
No way.
And it was nuts. It was crazy. It was awesome. And this guy named Luke, who was the owner of Whippersnapper Gallery, but the Whippersnapper's not around anymore. That's unfortunate. But that place was awesome, and so we've been here since then. And I think Luke, he's around. He still does stuff, but we haven't really been back since then. I think this is our first headline show. It's a co-headline, but it's our first non-support show.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're not Robin, but you're Batman now.
Well, we're like, if there was two Batmans, we'd be one of the two Batmans. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you don't.
And we've worked with a lot of artists from Toronto. In fact, Young Empires,
Yeah.
if you know them, they're from Toronto. And they actually are guest vocalist on a song from our last record called Dancing Out. And it was them and Jody Watley on a song that we put together with them, and they're from Toronto. And there's a band called Natural Animal, which has been around here, but I don't know if they're around anymore, but they're from Toronto. And so Toronto's a good town, good music.
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to venues, such as the venue we had today, what's your preferred kind of venue to perform? Where do you find yourself as a band, as an artist, being able to, like, really work a venue?
Well, we started in basements.
Right.
So we are a group that started playing parties at college. When I was in college, we started playing parties. And I had a party house, that had a cage that I installed in the basement for us to perform behind the cage. So people would be like up against the cage and rocking out, like can't believe it. That's where we started. And we had a little light, a little like one of those cheap lights you get at a guitar center that just like moves around.
Uh-huh.
And that was it. We were just playing music with a little cheap light and people dancing, having a good time. And so we started in the basement. I think basement is the best spot for us. Dark and just fun, and we're all here together in the basement, just jamming and just dancing, and so that's kind of the preferred venue, I say, for us.
Okay. When it comes to the French horn, I like how you implement it into the show and in the music in general. Even for those that aren't lucky enough to see you guys live, are there any other type of classical and kind of dance pop-esque kind of instruments or like features that you plan on using for future songs?
Well, believe it or not, I can play more than just French horn,
right,
which is weird. But I can play trombone and trumpet, and I can play saxophone, piano. I grew up just getting interested in a lot of instruments. Mm-hmm. And my brother, who is the studio mind creation of the band, who stays at home and works in the beat lab, he plays bassoon. And so actually our record, this EP, Full and Round EP, which you guys have, has me playing trumpet, French horn, and my brother playing bassoon on it. So there's a lot of classical instruments involved.
See, I'm gonna keep an ear out for that. I didn't even catch
Yeah.
that. That's fantastic.
But that's what's interesting about what we're doing, is that I think what a lot of people don't realize is that when you record an instrument, or when you record anything in 2016, or even in 2000, in the last 10 years, like if you're recording something, it can become anything. So if you any input, it's like in a synthesizer, for example. Mm. There's a couple basics. There's like the sine wave, the cosine wave, the triangle. Like these are basic sounds, and then you alter them to become what you want them to be. But because of technology, you don't need just those 3 or 4 options. Your options are infinite, and it includes sounds that you take from the real world. For example, French horn. We put in the record everywhere, but not everybody knows it's French horn.
Right.
Because it's been altered. So, like my oldest brother TJ is a French horn player, and he's the person that taught me how to play horn.
Oh, yeah.
When I was, second or third grader, I started playing horn, because my oldest brother TJ was really into Brahms, he was into Beethoven, he was into classics. And he wanted me to be a great horn player because he felt like that he started too late to be great. So then I started really young, and by the time I was in high school, I was really good, just because of the mere fact that I'd started before everybody else.
Right.
And so anyways, he heard like our latest record or whatever, and I was like, "You hear the French horn? It's there. It's here and there." And he's like, "That's not a French horn. What is that?" And I was like, "It's French horn next gen, man."
It's next, and that's
Yeah.
And would you describe your act as that, the next gen of the French horn?
Well, I think what the point of French Horn Rebellion is that it's an embracing of what your creativity is. So it doesn't matter what you play. Okay, it doesn't matter what instrument you play. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what you sound like. It doesn't matter what your voice is like. All that doesn't matter. It's really about who you are and your individuality. And even if you don't know who you are, whatever you think you like is what we celebrate.
Right.
Or whatever it is that you like about yourself, or whatever it is that you feel positive with yourself, is like that's what we celebrate.
Just what was the Foolin' Around's inspiration? Was it playing around?
We started with the Infinite Music, kind of doing. We were classical kids, and we wanted to make something that would people in the classical world be like, "Well, that's kind of cool," you know, and like embrace our psychedelic side, like all the things, the possibilities are endless. And so we made that record, and we started honing in on this sound that we really liked, which was kind of an early '90s throwbacky thing with some heavy beats and a little bit more aggressive, and we called it Next Jack Swing. So that was our second record, Next Jack Swing, Part 1. And from there, we went to Foolin' Around, which is the latest. It's actually an EP because we have some new music coming out. We have an LP coming out this next year. So
An LP?
yeah, and it's already done. So our third LP is coming, and we went from early '90s Teddy Riley, Rex and FX, Joey Watley, like all that influence, and we put a little bit of Doobie Brothers, or Steely Dan, some late '70s, early '80s funk, obviously Earth, Wind and Fire, or like
a little bit of slide.
Steve Winwood, he's not early '80s, but those vibes, So it's some people call it yacht rock, some call it AM radio from the late '70s. So that's what we're infusing some of that in there into this new stuff.
That's gonna be something funky and look forward.
Well, that's what Foolin' Around. The song Foolin' Around is like a mixture of our New Jack Swing influences with our I guess you call it yacht rock influences, and it's making something weird and different with French horns and bassoon and funky melodies, and just keeping it fun and upbeat.
Yeah. What would you say to anybody that is thinking, French Horn Rebellion? I kind of like that one track I found on Spotify or something along those lines. What would you say to get them hooked on?
Well, I feel like that's where it starts. Is people hear the music, they get interested. But I think that there's a lot more to it, which maybe doesn't come to the eye immediately. Is that it's all about expressing your creativity, right? So it's just being cool with who you are. So I guess they hear it on Spotify, maybe they're inspired by the music because of the fact that it comes together in such a weird way. There's something fresh about it, and then that freshness is what maybe get them interested in the story and who we are as people and get involved.
This is the last stop on your tour here in Toronto?
Yes! Woo! I think it was 27 or 28 shows.
Yeah.
That I counted.
And we are